Hi everybody, welcome to College 101. Today's mission is to find the right laptop. As with most things in college, you'll find that Google is your friend. If you can dream it, you can find it on Google. Of course, it helps to know what you're looking for, and that is the purpose of this video. So let's get started. Here are the basic specs required by your school. Starting at the top left, storage refers to your hard drive storage, 640 gigabytes. Hard drive storage is above average, good for most everything you can think of. But since you're going to probably have this computer for 2 to 4 years, I would suggest getting 750 to 1,000 gigabytes, which is equal to a terabyte of hard drive storage. Of course, you can always have an external hard drive where you keep most of your files on, and you use the hard drive storage for your computer software and programs, but keep most of the files, temporary files, on your external hard drive. So either way, 640 is quite a bit. I would suggest just looking for 750 or maybe a little more, up to a terabyte. Serial ATA refers to the type of hard drive you have. It's called a spinning hard drive. Therefore, it spins at 5,400 revolutions per minute. These are top of the line hard drive setups, combinations, so that's very good. It's very fast. However, the technology is always advancing, so now they're coming out with solid state drives, and a solid state drive will not spin at all. Therefore, it's considered a little superior, and it is faster. But right now they're very expensive, so the best machines today have what's called a hybrid combination of about 125 gigs of solid state drive, and the rest is the serial ATA drive. So the next category is the processor and microchipset. The processor is the brain of the computer. Quad core means it has 4 brains, 4 processors, so it can do 4 things at once. It's replacing the antiquated quad cores, which were always waiting for a task to be completed to start the next task. With a quad core, you don't have to wait for one task to finish, because the second processor starts jumping on the next task right away. 150 gigahertz is the speed of the processor, and that's a little bit low. I would shoot for something between 2 and 3 gigahertz per second, I believe it is. And that would be the processing speed of each core, something like 2.3, 2.7. A computer I have has 3.4 gigahertz, but it's set up for videoing, so it needs to do a lot of computing to keep up with the video editing that we do. 4 megabytes of cache. Cache is the short-term memory. So if you go to visit one website, it will be saved in the cache so that it comes up faster and gives the computer, frees the computer up to not have to worry about so much short-term memory. It can just do the task that you ask it to do. 64-bit is the better of the two. Right now you can get a 32-bit or a 64-bit, so like when you buy Microsoft Office, they want to know if you have a 64-bit or a 32-bit machine. So the 64-bit can crank out more data, and so therefore it is the preferred of the two. but when you buy software, you want to match it up to that processing bits as well. The memory category, this is called RAM, how much RAM you have, which is another type of short-term memory. It basically runs when your computer runs, and when your computer shuts down, the RAM doesn't save anything. But this gives you rendering power and processing power. So a normal computer will probably have like 2 gigs of RAM. So 6 gigs of RAM is a jacked up speed, which is good. And you have the ability to add 2 more gigs. So this machine here would have a total of 8 gigs of RAM, which is even faster. Unless you're doing video editing, 8 gigs, you can get away with 8 gigs. But you can also go up to 16 or 32 gigs if you're doing a lot of high-speed video editing. DVD 3 SD RAM, and this DVD-R 1066 PC 38500 is a name for the quality of the RAM. And these are the latest developments. Technology is always advancing, so before long they'll come out with a DD4 or another slightly improved version, but right now these are the top of the line, so these are both great. And there's 2 slots where you can put this kind of RAM inside your computer, and that's also normal. And it gives you a total of up to 8 gigs, which is more than enough for anything except serious video editing. And even then it's alright. So the next category here is this SD card reader. It's just recommending that you get a computer that does have a card reader. It's a slot on the side. Most people know what an SD card is. It comes out of cameras and phones. You can plug it in. It's a data storage thing, and you can plug it into the computer if you have this card reader. If you don't have this on your laptop, you'll probably wish you did have it before you get finished. So that's a good thing to have. The operating system, they're recommending we stick with Windows 7 even though Windows 8 is out. It's a little too fancy, with the different pop-up windows and customizing this. I think it eventually will catch up to Windows 8, but right now the classes are taught using Windows 7, so they're recommending we stick with Windows 7, which is the basic workhorse of the Microsoft industry. I believe you can get this from Mac Mall for $79, although a lot of computers you can also, when you order your computer, you can specify that you want Windows 7 on it, and so it'll come at no additional charge ready to go with Windows 7, so that would be a good strategy. Even though you'll find Windows 8 offered, because that's Microsoft's big push now for everybody to try Windows 8, you can still get a Windows 7 Home Premium if you look for it and you ask for it. Okay, moving on to display screen. This has to do with the resolution of the monitor, which is built into the laptop. Here she recommends 15.6 inches for the screen. Now, I've gone back and forth on that a lot. Some of my friends have a 17-inch screen. Screen space is very valuable. However, the key thing about a laptop is its mobility. So in the final analysis, people are going with 14-inch and 13-inch laptops just because they're so much easier to move around with. And then when they get home, you can plug it into a bigger monitor to do your work on, but you have the mobility of a little smaller unit. So I would recommend a 13 or a 14-inch screen here with a bigger monitor at home that you can plug into. Active Matrix is the type of the screen, and if you look that up, it's the latest thing. It's an LCD screen, but even It's not an LCD screen, it's an LCD mechanism that uses LED as a backlight. So it's really an LED machine, which saves on power. So LED is a good recommendation. These are some of the styles and some of the types of graphic displays internal workings. 16.9 is the standard for high definition and also for widescreen. The new iPhones have this ratio of 16.9, the iPhone 5s. It's 16 inches, 16 parts wide to 9 parts high. This is what movie theaters are. So that's recommended that we get a 16.9. That's fine. This is also the latest graphics card. And here's an AMD. Two people, well, more than two people, but AMD is a big manufacturer of graphic devices. Also, Nvidia is a big producer. And this is the type of high definition 6629G, the type of screen they're putting in there. And here again, we see the same RAM specifications. It has its own shared RAM. Well, it has dedicated RAM to help the screen because there's so many details on the graphics that the extra RAM helps the graphic reproduce and refresh the image. So that's what that's talking about. Built-in devices, webcam, it's always good to have. You know, more and more we're going to video sharing and video conferencing. So if you have a webcam, you can communicate. You can also get an external webcam and plug it in. Even if you have a webcam built in, you can get an external one if you're having a need for a bigger viewport. Microphone is nice to have. I'm recording this on my built-in mic. Fingerprint reader. Some people get all fired up for the security of a fingerprint reader, which is nice to have, but I don't think it's a mandatory. Here it's not required, so I wouldn't lose any sleep over a fingerprint reader. There's other things you can do to secure the system. Then we get down to the networking aspects of the laptop. Here's the kind of Wi-Fi wireless channels that it picks up. It can actually pick up a 802B, an 802G, or an 802N. So like if you go to a coffee shop, they may be running B for some reason, or most of them run N, I believe, but this gives you the ability to run 3 different channels and pick it up whatever kind of signal is being broadcast. So that's state of the art there. A gigabyte Ethernet is also is a good speed to have, so that's fine. Now, Bluetooth here, it says it's not recommending that you get Bluetooth. However, Bluetooth is a good thing to have. So, if at all possible, get a Bluetooth on your laptop. Bluetooth is for the smaller devices like remote control, wireless keyboard, wireless mouse. You can get a wireless mouse on your laptop that comes in handy. So Bluetooth would be a good thing to have, and most of the good laptops have it on there anyway. Okay, then you get the physical description. This is, I think, so if you order your laptop, just check this and make sure you're not getting a pink one when you want a black one, or a black one when you want a pink one. Make sure you're getting the right physical description to go with the model that you want. And if you notice here, this is a 15-inch wide one. It's recommending a 15-inch wide one. But look at that weight, 5.73 pounds. So you may not think that's very much, but you'll see later on in the recommendations that you get under 5 pounds for the weight of your laptop. So keep that in mind. Battery info, 6 cell is standard. Lithium ion battery is also the standard of the age. It's greener, easier to dispose of with less toxins. 4400 capacity. When I looked that up, that's the latest thing in battery development. So that's good to have. And the maximum runtime of 4 hours, even though that looks pretty good for a laptop, I think a lot of the laptops with LED screens are getting more than 4 hours. So that's up to you, but keep an eye on that. You don't want anything under that. That's true. Power supply. This is more technical stuff. If you ever have to replace the battery, which you may have to do because batteries really only last a couple of years. They're highly disposable batteries. And you'll see in my battery later on in this episode, the battery tips. It explains that it doesn't really matter if you're using the battery or not using the battery. So if it's just sitting on the shelf for a year, that battery's a year old. So if you go buy a new battery for whatever reason, you want to look at this 65 wattage. You want to match that, and you want to get one that's not been sitting on the shelf for a year. Okay, then we move along here to input devices. Does it have a keyboard? I haven't seen a laptop without a keyboard. And does it have a pointing device like a touchpad? I haven't seen one without a pointing device either, even though some laptops are touch screens. Again, this could be the future. Nothing wrong with a touch screen. It's not necessarily required here, but it's an option you might look at. I prefer mouses to touchpads, and therefore I have a wireless mouse with my laptop. Okay, then we have a miscellaneous category, and that has to do with checking the contents of your package. Make sure it has a battery included, make sure it has an AC adapter. And these security features, Kensington lock slot. I didn't really know about that at first, but it's a little hole where you can put this special kind of a pin that locks that computer to a cable, and then the cable would be locked to your desk leg or something, some kind of other. It would be locked down so that laptop can't get pulled away. That might be something you want to look at for who knows what, depending on your roommate situation, I guess. Okay, and then under that is called BIOS passwords, which is also a security thing. There's when your computer boots up, it's called BIOS, and there's a password where you can set it for users, or you can set it as a supervisor, and then the HDD password is a password where you can set to your hard drive, so that in the event someone did steal your laptop, they would have to crack the user code for it to even boot up, and then if they wanted to change anything within the system, they would have to have a supervisor status, and then ultimately if they tried to change something on the hard drive, they would have to have a hard drive status. So those are some checks and balances in the security department. Coming up to the interfaces and ports, it's recommended you have at least 3 USB 2.0 ports. Well, that's antiquated already, because 3.0 is the standard. It's like at least twice as fast as a 2.0. So I would look for a laptop that had 3.0 ports and more than 3 of them. I would say get at least 4 USB ports, 3.0. 2.0 devices will work on a 3.0, but 3.0 is the way of the future at this point. VGA is a little special connector where you can plug in a video line. Like say you want to hook your laptop up to your computer, to a larger monitor, you can hook it up through this VGA port. You want to hook your laptop up to a printer, you can hook it up through that VGA port. If you want to hook your computer up to a TV, you can hook it up through that VGA port. Nowadays some computers have HDMI ports on them, which is high definition, so that would be preferable. But VGA is the standard now, so nothing wrong with having a VGA port, and maybe you can get a HDMI port on there, make it even more high definition friendly. This network RJ45 is, most of the computers in the lab or in your classroom run on a wire, and that wire is called RJ45, is what you connect that wire to, your Ethernet. So for example, some reason the wireless is not working, maybe there's you're not close enough to the wireless source, you can't get a wireless signal, you could plug in a wire to this RJ45 port. It looks like a little phone wire, you just plug it in like a little phone wire, and it clicks in there, and so you would be live to your school's net. That's a way of hooking up to a net that's not wireless. So those are standard, and they're great to have. Okay, finally we have the software recommendations. Again, they're recommending Windows 7 Home, which is the operating system we talked about earlier. They're recommending you get 64-bit Windows Home, because you can get a 32-bit Windows Home, but your system is a 64-bit computer, so you want to run the 64-bit Windows Home on there. They're also recommending Microsoft Office Starter. Now, here's the deal with that. Office Starter has a short version of Microsoft Word, Microsoft Office, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint. There's a full version of Microsoft Office, which is not the starter, and that's the one I think you can get off the Mac Mall for $79. Student, it's the Student Mac Mall. Whenever you go searching, make sure you go for the student discount. You put in your school, you get a discount for being a student, and that Microsoft Office is 365, it's called, is only $79, and it's the full version. So I would stay away from the starter version and go for the full version. Bing is some software that Microsoft puts on there. It's Microsoft's version of Google. It's a search type engine with a search bar. That's up to you. I like Google. Windows Live. Some additional software and essentials. Those usually come standard with most computers that you get Windows on from the factory. So those are different types of software that they're recommending. So that wraps it up for the highly detailed explanation of the specs. As you can see in the next couple of footages here, the next couple of frames, there's more details of the specs. If you wanted to go back over that, I'm not going to bore you with that again. Just know that those are some of the basic standards that will make it different in your system. And on the recommendations page, I'll mention a couple of these because these are great tips. The first one is that because you're in college, you have an email address that ends in .edu, and you use that to sign up for a lot of student discounts when it comes to computers, softwares, printers, anything. You tell them you're a student, ask for the email or your proof, your institution. A lot of times you just give them that email and you get your discount. Another great tip is to consider a refurbished computer. They come with full guarantees. I found a bunch of really good. What I did was I Googled student refurbished computers 6 point. I put actually, here's what I did. I Googled student refurbished laptop 750 gigabytes quad core, and then I got a bunch of really good refurbished computers to choose from. Alright, these next ones are as mentioned before, the weight, 14-inch. It's going to be a little lighter. 3 to 4 pounds they're recommending there. Dual band wireless card. That will be covered with the BG and N wireless card that we talked about. Here they're saying don't buy antivirus software. You can get free options, so you can hold off on that if you want. Don't buy Microsoft Office, Adobe products when you buy your computer as an add-on, because you can find them cheaper as a student. That's what that recommendation is. So with that, we're going to conclude our tips. And if you can download this PDF, which has come along with the there's also a link, the same place you got the link to this movie. You can get a PDF, and on the PDF you can see my links on the right. These are all great links to go to. We have a Lenovo outlet, a Dell student outlet, a Mac Mall refurbished, the Apple Store for education, and here's a link at the bottom for the Microsoft for Mac, or this is actually also for Windows. $79 Microsoft Office 365. So otherwise, just Google, like I mentioned, refurbished student laptops, 750 gigabytes quad core, and you'll get some really good looking machines that'll be powerful and fast, and nobody likes lag time. So I'm going to end this video right now. Good luck and good learning.